Hi, I'm Jeff Pett, Vice President of Sales and Marketing for the Fleetwood Group, and today I'm on the campus of Hope College here in Holland, Michigan. Hope is nationally recognized for its collaborative faculty-student research and creative activity, recently ranked 4th behind the University of Michigan, Stanford, and MIT. A couple of years ago, when Hope was developing their new engineering design lab and computer lab, they came to Fleetwood and asked if we would collaborate on developing some unique furniture for this facility. Today we have the opportunity to have Professor Roger Veldman and Greg Mayberry walk us through the facility and talk about the furniture and how that's worked for them.
Really we needed a space that was would allow a variety of students, electrical students, mechanical students, civil engineering students to be able to work together in teams in a kind of workshop type setting, and that's a space we really didn't have before this new construction.
Well, the research model that Professor Veldman was referring to required that students have their own individual spaces for their research experiments and their materials. So we had to work with Fleetwood to design lab areas that would have shared space but also individual space for the students. So some of the cabinetry you see has individual drawers and shelving for the student materials. All the lab tables were designed around a utility space that provided the electric, the water, the natural gas, whatever utilities that come in. It's a unistrut system, and so Fleetwood had to design the lab bench around our particular design for utility delivery. And the stainless steel tops were specific to this area to provide a flexible space, not concerned with chemicals, not concerned with other components that would be on the laptops themselves. And the students then are able to work collaboratively on projects and have maximum flexibility. There was no set design. In fact, everything is movable in this design space.
So really we're just finishing our first year having been in this space for a year. So one group of students has gone through a full year's design cycle of the furniture, and it's really worked out extremely well for us. So typically a team of 2 or 3 students each would be assigned to a bay, and they would have this stainless steel worktop and then sort of a lockable cabinet storage area here, so they could put components that they're working on, circuit boards or whatever mechanical things they have. They could put backpacks or laptop computers in here when they're not using them. So kind of giving them some individual space, and yet having a very open area around the area to work on. If they had some big components and things, they could station those around. The stainless steel tops were a really a good choice. We've been through in here a year, and engineering design activity can be pretty rough, and so students are kind of hard on things. But again, a year into that, honestly, the equipment still looks brand new. The furniture still looks brand new, and we've been very pleased with how it not only functions but how it looks. So we couldn't be happier with the way things have worked out this year. One thing that was really a challenge in designing this space was the idea that all the projects come in a variety of sizes. So we can have some students working on traditional, very small benchtop type projects to some very large areas. So we designed the space with very large open areas adjacent to the furniture. And this is a good example of this mobile configuration here, where we're able to put, again, lockable storage, but on casters. So we could move this in and out as needed. You can see in this particular case, the students were designing a large array here for positioning a solar panel, for example, for the roof of their car. This is obviously a prototype, but again, big enough that it needed a good working area. They could walk all the way around the project, but still close enough to their sort of design space. So this flexibility allows us to do big projects, small projects, kind of all in the same area. And the challenge is that in any given year, we don't know what projects are coming in. Next year, they could have all big projects, or all medium-sized projects, or all small. And again, the idea of being able to reconfigure year to year was really important to us. And these mobile tables worked out really well in that case. So we kind of put them in here, and we didn't assign them to students, but students kind of selected them as needed. And so it was really interesting how the students kind of had the tools they needed available to them. And it's interesting, the furniture, I never thought of the furniture as a tool, but in this case, it really was very good supporting of the design work that was going on here. So this area we call our light fabrication area, with the idea that sometimes students are working on things that require grinding or sanding, or things that tend to generate dust or fragments and things. And so we have a overhead ventilation system here that allows us to draw air through some filters to kind of keep the lab clean. So in this case, we went with this heavy butcher block table with the idea that students are going to be pounding or grinding, or we've got vices and things that are clamped down. We want to make sure that things are very good and rugged and are going to hold up to some heavier work kind of things here. We also, again, just showing the variety here, we ended up putting a little bit of a granite layout table here to do some measurements. Some of the students need to take some precision measurements, so we're able to do that. But again, year to year, as the needs come up, we can sort of reconfigure the space to do a variety of things. But this is really intended to be more of a heavier duty kind of work area in the corner here. So again, the butcher block I think was a much better choice in this case. And also over here we have sort of just a cleanup area with a sink. And again, some storage area for some cleaning materials. So this area again here is a series of student workstations similar to what we talked about before. The idea on this side was to try to have maybe space better designed for students who are doing smaller projects, benchtop projects, maybe electronics projects that would require maybe to be a little cleaner areas, but also things that would require more components. And so as a result of that, we tried to design cabinetry here that was adjacent to this area that would allow us to store things like resistors and capacitors and typical electronic components close enough that students could kind of have access back and forth here. This wall of storage here has been really valuable for us for a whole variety of things, from mechanical tools to extra components, motors and gears. I think our long-term plan here is to end up with sort of an inventory here of typical components that students would use in engineering projects. Really, this storage has been something we really didn't have in our old facility, and so the idea of having it close by, but also kind of closed, so you don't see a lot of the, just makes it a better look, having a lot of things kind of hidden away. Also nice that we have full-length cabinets and also drawers, just kind of depending on what we're trying to store, a good variety of options, and also some open front things as well. So we are in the computer-aided design lab, or CAD lab, which is just above the design lab that we were just looking at in the lower level. And this lab is used several times during the day for classroom, for teaching some of the software courses. It also is a general purpose engineering lab for engineering students to be able to do computations and do computer work. And so you have an instructor station here where an instructor will stand up in front, and then we have our individual furniture here with the idea that each student can have access to the computer, to their computer work, but also have a nice open area here for them to set up books. A lot of times when engineering students are working, they need to be able to write or have reference materials, and so each station has sort of a pull-out table to put some additional materials, calculator, whatever they're doing here. So just each student having a nice wide area to do their work. Also, when the teaching is going on in the front here, they can sort of turn their chair to the front and have a place to take notes or whatever they're doing here. So the idea was to have a very reconfigurable, flexible kind of area here.